You know, Mike alluded to what I call the flex defense with this Stil'rs when you see TJ Watt playing an inside linebacker position.
I don't like the flex defense.
I don't like it at all, but it's a necessity at this point.
Did you hear the stat that was given by Nance with Tony Romo on that name? This is the worst run defense they've had since 1965.
Right.
This is not, look, the hybrid linebacker's not getting it done.
This is where I was going.
Run the football.
This is where I was going. I call it a flex defense that Butler and Tomlin are running right now. You have a real problem. We've known this for a couple games right now at inside linebacker. You can attribute the Predators, Devin Bush's problems with his ACL and not healed up. He's a little tentative. I don't know what you put it on Schobert, okay? But here's the thing. Mike alluded to it. These hybrid linebackers that Coach Tomlin likes, they're undersized guys. They're not Brian Urlacher's size. The reason he likes them is because they can, well, help in this passing league, right, to run with tight ends. But the problem, if you start with the tight ends, George Kittle, Kelsey,
even Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews.
Lamar Jackson
He's
missed him a
here.
few times.
Bush is here.
Yeah, and it's just a height mismatch. And you go down that middle seam of the field, and you put a little height underneath the ball, and it's very easy. There is a mismatch in the center of the field, but I mean, when it comes to running, and I know this is 2 games ago, but Joe Mixon just embarrassed them. If you can run the football balance, the Stil'rs do not have the pieces.
They don't have inside linebackers, okay?
No.
Going back to that full circle, here's the problem right now with the hybrid linebackers, the way I see it. They're undersized. So we talked about the tight ends, not being able to stay on them. The second part, and Nick Mixon with the Bengals is a prime example of this. These undersized linebackers, I'm creeping down a little bit to overextenuate here, get lost in the blocking on the line. Ideally, Mike, you know this, a linebacker should shuffle down the line, and get into the hole, read your guards, read the tackles. They are getting lost in the wash because the linemen are that much bigger than them. They can't get off the blocks. They can't get to the hole. They can't make a tackle. This failed experiment with the hybrid linebackers isn't working. And you can have, in my opinion, let me close this out. You can have one, but you need a Brian Urlacher on the other side to complement him.
There's not too many Brian Urlachers in this day, but
I'm using him as an analogy, but bigger, stronger, faster to take on a guard, throw him, and get. You're completely out of balance right now. And I don't understand why Coach Tomlin and Coach Butler haven't seen this yet. And you go back, you've heard me talk about this before, I'm sorry, but it's one of the weak Achilles heels on this team. It goes back to the year we lost Ryan Shazier, and they grabbed the guy off the bench to play against Jacksonville Kitty Cats here, and Leonard Fournette ran all over the hybrid linebacker. And Bortles threw, for 90 yards, and they beat us.
Yeah, and so
enough of the hybrid linebackers.
If you have the faster hybrid linebacker, typically I haven't seen one tall enough, so they're a little shorter, and they don't have the weight that most guys have. And if that wasn't an issue, we got to keep the speed. If that wasn't an issue, you could sit there and say, look, I want 5 offensive linemen that are nice, slim and trim. They're fast. Let's get them out there and run and block for us. If you don't have that weight, you can't block or you can't take on the blocks. So there's an issue. So that's what makes Cam Hayward so valuable, because he is actually taking on those blocks for those linebackers and helping them out. And they're getting a little help, but they get exposed in the passing game. Now, back to your point about the hybrid linebacker, you're right. 100% failed experiment. Perfect example. Look at last night's game. The New England Patriots, Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills, Micah Hyde, Poyer, these safeties coming down. I saw, they made some good tackles, but I saw a few times they were just getting dragged. And let me tell you something. 3 pass plays. 3 pass plays. One was a screen, one was an incompletion, and one was tipped up in the air. And so they just ran the ball and said, tackle us. And if you can't beat a team doing that, You know,
Are we looking at a New England Tampa Super Bowl?
I'm just saying.
Are we looking at a New England Tampa Super Bowl?
No, I'm not saying
yet?
that. No, I'm not saying that because you're gonna. Maybe if it goes through New England, because the way they ran a block last night, it was ridiculous. But
AFC's wide open.
If you don't know how to tackle, if you can't stop that run game, you're going to have issues. You have to be able to stop the run game.
You just brought up the third point I wanted to hit on with this Steelers defense. And again, loving TJ Watt, NFL MVP player of the year.
Defensive.
Cam Hayward doing a great job. The inside linebackers are an absolute mess. Getting into the secondary play, we finally saw Minka have a good game, an interception. I like what he's doing. He's been trying to do too much. But talking about tackling again, I was thinking about this watching the Ravens game. The Steelers need to hire a tackling coach. That's all I want him to do. He works with the defensive backs. Then he works with the inside linebackers. Then he works with the defensive linemen.
Well,
then they go through. I want a tackling coach. I am tired of this. That is not a tackle.
Well,
I am tired of that. That is not a tackle. A tackle, I ain't going to hurt you, quarterback. You roll your hips and you come up and you whack people.
Yeah, and
if you start hitting people, the wide receivers start getting scared and looking in alligator hands.
But now
running backs get beat up and get tired. Hire a tackling coach.
Well, no, and the thing is, you're not going to get those guys putting their
You think
arms
I'm
out.
fired up about that?
Yeah, you can be fired up about it, but the way the rules protect the offensive players now, the defense is at a disadvantage. So you're already at this. You're not. So these offensive guys, the defensive guys are getting smaller and faster. You talked about already. Offensive guys are getting bigger and stronger. These bigger receivers, these bigger running backs. But
Derrick Henry.
You're not going to go up, and you're not going to take him on waist high or chest high and wrap up. You can't do it
because you're afraid to get hurt.
No, because you are
Terrell
get
Edmonds,
hurt because they're too
afraid
big.
to get hurt.
When you expand your arms like this, that's when the shoulder injury comes with the safeties and the corners. So that's why they
It's
all
a
tuck.
violent
That's
sport.
why they all tuck and they got to go low for the
It's
legs.
a violent sport.
I get it, but no, I disagree with you on the tackling. Hey,
Well, do you want to win or do you want to be 500 at the end of the season?
find a way.
Find me Ronnie Lott.
Find a way.
Find me Ronnie Lott.
Yeah, he bit a finger off.
He sawed it off because he was. If you don't know the Ronnie Lott story, you younger guys, played for San Francisco. He'd knock your teeth off. He broke his finger the week before in the NFC divisional game, and it was sticking that way. And he said, "Sorry, you can't play in the Super Bowl." And he said, "Sorry, Dad, cut it off." That's commitment. That's the kind of commitment I want.
Good luck finding that.